Okay, starting on page 188, number 5 is open the category list PHP file in the product manager directory, which is here, and just kind of park that one for the moment. Open the model, under the model folder, the category DB PHP, which is here, and add the two functions to it that add and delete categories. Now, you may recall that functions are simply separate pieces of code that can be referenced from other pages. So to keep you from having to watch me type all this in, I've already got them added below here. So when you first open your folder, or this document in your folder, you will have two functions, get categories and get category name. The ones you'll need to add are add category, passing in the name, and delete category, passing in the ID of the category that you want to delete. So we've got an insert here, and we've got a delete down here. So those are the two functions that you'll need to add. And by way of review, to say this out loud, you would say this is a function that receives one parameter but doesn't pass back anything. And this is a parameter of scratch. All right. Just to review, this is a function that receives one parameter and doesn't pass back anything. And this is another function that receives one parameter and doesn't pass back anything. These are the two you'll need to add to the category DB PHP, which of course part of the model. Remember, the model is responsible for interacting with the database, which is obviously what this does. Next, we're going to open the index PHP file in the product manager directory, which is here. So we open that up, and it wants you to add 3 new actions. The first action should display the category list page. This will fix the problem where we had the blank page in the demonstration. The second action should add a category to the database, and the third action should delete the category. So, again, so that you don't have to watch me type, this is all what will have been supplied to you already. The actions that you'll need to add are down here on the bottom. This is the new code added for category list, add, and delete. Now, it's worth looking at this index PHP for a moment. Everything is based off of action. So you can see right at the top is the initial check. If the action coming back from the web page is set, then it grabs that action and puts it into the variable called $action. Else, if the get function action is set, it puts that action into the action variable. If neither one of those work, then it puts list underscore products into the action. So this is kind of the initial. So when the application first starts, there won't be any action set by any other pages because none will have executed at that point. So by default, this is where the application starts, is list products. Later on, control will return to this page with various values set into this action variable. And when that happens, the control will be passed through this because this is set, will be successful, and it will post the action that was set by the other pages into the variable and then transfer down here where it'll start to examine the value of action. So in this case, if action equal list products, then we want to set, or rather grab the category ID from the page, put it into a variable, and then we put a safety valve here. We say if the category ID is not set, not being the exclamation mark, then we force the category ID to be 1. Again, this is part of the initial startup of the application when none of these values will be set. So if the action is list products, we grab the category ID. We call the function called get category name, passing it category ID. We call a function called get categories, passing it nothing, and we call a function get products by category, again passing category ID. So now we've got 3 collections of information: category name, categories, and products. This section will include the product list.php. Now include, you may recall, is the same thing as taking a copy of what's in this file and inserting it here, but only doing that at runtime. So it's like saying if we went out to product list PHP, which can be found here, and we embedded it right there. So if we open up product list PHP, we can see that it is the HTML rendering, or the view, if you will, of what's going to be rendered back to the user. So we close this down for the moment. And the way includes work is the code is inserted here and executed, and then once all that code executes, control continues to fall through, which in this case ends our list products. All right, so if action is list products, that's what we do. Else, if action is delete product, we do these things underneath this if, which is right here. Else, if action equals show add form, we do these things. Else, if action equal add product, we do these things. And that's where the initial start file will have taken you. The actions you need to insert are a continuation of this if-else pattern. So if I want to continue this, I want to check, put an if statement rather, for an action of list categories. And if that is true, then I want to call a function get categories and include category list PHP, which is right here. Else, if action is add category, I want to grab the name from the screen and put it into a local variable. If that name is empty, that is an error. I can't add a category without a name. So if the name from the screen that I have retrieved from the page rather is empty, I need to generate an error. And I do that by setting a variable called error to a meaningful message. In this case, invalid category name, check name and try again. And I include from within the errors folder the error PHP file, which if you go look over here, open up errors, there is an error PHP. You see it's very short. It simply includes the header and footer portions of our application along with the echo of $error. And remember, if you look back over here, $error contains the message that we're going to send, which is right there. Okay, so if name is empty, we send an error, but if it's not empty, we call a function add category and pass it the name. Once that category has been added, we want to return control to the default document within this current folder, passing the action of list categories. Now, the default document of the current folder that we're in is this file. So this is one of the hardest concepts to grasp in this. When this command is executed, imagine that what happens is the control is immediately transferred to the very end. The action that's been requested is interrogated, and the action says, oh, I have a single dot, which means go grab the default document within the current folder, which the current folder is Product Manager. The default document is index.php, and pass a parameter to that document called action, and have the value of that parameter be list categories. So if we go back now and include this program again, let's go back to the top, you'll see that the action is going to be retrieved from this command. So list categories will be placed into action. We'll start checking for list products. That's not it. We'll check for delete product. No. Show add form. Add product. No. Finally, list categories. And that will be yes. So we will retrieve all the categories and display them using category list.